Good evening and welcome to Disney Discard Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Graham, with DLRP Roundup, and tonight I'm joined by
Bernardo from the Main Street News. Hello,
Hello
Graham. How are you?
Bernardo. Oh, it's been a day. I've been at work all day, so I'm very happy to be here talking Disneyland Paris.
That's amazing. I'm
In
too.
fact,
Yeah.
it's been an interesting time because we still haven't had a huge amount
Mhm.
brought out officially. However, we can tell rather unofficially by looking at some of the visuals by DLP Works that there's
Yeah,
certainly a lot going on in Disneyland Paris just now.
there definitely is. From Disney Village to everything going on with Walt Disney Studios, and of course the Disneyland Park, which is receiving some updates to some attractions, some restaurants, and even a new churros stand, which was a very pleasant surprise as I love churros. So I'm very excited to check that out.
I'm not a churros person, so
Oh
that
wow.
is of little interest.
No.
What we've got tonight, you are of course in the Disney Discord podcast. We record this live on our Discord, and you can probably tell by the time it comes out, there's very little editing ever goes into this podcast.
Mhm.
So if you have anything you want to say, anything you want to contribute, you can either jump on the stage with us and discuss it in audio, and if you don't want to do that, jump in the chat box and you can join us live. It is an interactive podcast. We come on this with a very loose agenda and usually end up talking a lot of nonsense by the end of it. So I've got the pictures up from DLP Works, which is really cool because they only put them up about 4 hours ago, so they're
Oh, new
relatively
one.
new. Well, they're 4 hours. The tweet's 4 hours old. They probably were released days ago, but the
Okay.
tweets are relatively new. And what we're probably looking at just now is a massive speed up on, or what looks to be a massive speed up, getting finished and ready, because we've got happening now, well, not happening right now, but very soon, we've got the Alice in Wonderland show going back into
Yes.
the Motors Action Theatre.
hmm Which has been
Which,
renamed. It has been renamed to Theater of the Stars. So a bit of
mm,
a callback to old Walt Disney Studios, which was very nice. I thought.
well,
But yeah.
the interesting news is they're going to be using it again soon, and obviously we know that the entrance needs to be built up pretty quickly because you need to be
hmm
able to get into the theatre. So
Yes.
I think that's probably why we're seeing this massive push at the sort of closer end of the lake to very quickly try and build out some infrastructure that people can walk on.
Yeah, it's quite the possibility. So we know that the lake and everything around it with Frozen and the promenade, that's only going to happen or going to open back in next year. So
Yeah.
if it opens next year, it'll be nice. We are expecting for the second part of the year. But as you said, the Alice in Wonderland show, the new Alice Back to Wonderland. No, Alice and the Queen of Hearts Back to Wonderland. Yeah, that's the full name of
That's
the
it.
show. That brand new show, you know, we're not still certain how you'll be able to get into the theater itself. So some people think it's through Avengers Campus. I personally don't think that's going to happen, and I think that a brand new entrance is being
Well,
built as we speak, just like you
yeah,
said.
I'm pretty sure it's the new entrance, and I'm pretty sure, um, just from looking at it, I mean, if you're on site,
hmm
you can see that if you walk up the side of Tower of Terror and you
Yeah.
walk out of Avengers Campus, all the way along at the right, you come to the, I forget what they've called it now, but it used to be the Cascadeur.
The
Um,
super diner. I think
yeah,
that's
Super Diner. Yeah, if you
that's
go
it.
there, there's a very obvious point there where the road is just going to continue on.
hmm
Um, no, but
Yeah.
that is currently construction ground. That is
Yeah. Yeah.
currently, not suitable. However, the time to lay concrete and the time to put in, move the wall
hmm
it'll not take Disneyland Paris very long to very quickly, put in a
Yeah.
walkway. So
Yeah, and it
those,
just from looking at the pictures from DLP Works, it just that they just posted, you clearly see that there's a huge base of concrete on the right on the back of the old facades of the stunt show.
yeah,
So yeah, I think they're gonna connect it via walkway to Avengers Campus.
yeah. So
So yeah,
there'll be two entrances effective. Well, two forks in the road that'll then join on to one, which is obviously you can come out Avengers Campus, or I think the other one's going to be you can walk up alongside Tower of Terror and then
yeah,
join the path that way. That works quite well. It's
yeah.
interesting that it hasn't been themed to Avengers and hasn't been made into some sort of stunt show for the Avengers. I would have bet money that was what they were going to do.
Yeah, yeah,
It seems too
100%.
obvious.
It's pretty crazy. They completely went against all odds and made a Alice in Wonderland stunt show when there's Avengers Campus right there. So that's a bit of an
Mate,
odd decision, I guess.
it makes me
But I
think
mean,
that potentially it's not for the longest time. Like I think there's a good possibility this is a season or two's show, and possibly maybe next year. But I don't see Alice hanging around forever.
yeah, that's there's just one thing that makes me kind of wonder because when the works are done with the lake and everything around it, that the entrance to the stunt arena will be via the English Gardens sort of area.
Mm.
So in a way, I guess Alice could, still kind of fit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I can see they could force it to fit. They can
Oh, yeah, of
absolutely,
course.
they can absolutely make it work. But I
Mhm.
don't know. It just seems such an odd. It's
Oh
such
yeah,
an odd
it is.
idea.
It is.
The
Very
one thing that I do,
excited.
I mean, one thing I should say, okay, the costuming from the pictures we got,
Mhm.
we got them. Was it this week we got them or last week, something like that?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was this week.
We got them. We got them then, and the one thing it gave me sort of flashbacks to was Disneyland Resort in California in
Hmm.
the California Adventure had the Mad Hatter's Tea Party or the Mad Tea Party or something.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
and they
Yeah,
had
yeah.
that.
Yeah,
And
very
that was
reminiscent.
more sort that was kind of dance and electronic music and stuff.
Mhm.
And it was really good. Like I was lucky enough to be there while it was on. And it was very, very good. Like I really, really enjoyed
Oh,
it. And they had like the White Rabbit DJ and everything, and it was
oh
pretty
wow.
good. So there is a possibility that the Alice in Wonderland show could be
Hmm.
on during the day, and then it could evolve into almost like I don't want to say a rave, but some sort of live DJ
Yeah,
set at
yeah,
night
yeah,
when
yeah.
it's peak.
That's
And that
actually a good idea. Yeah.
is quite easy to do as well. Like for Disneyland Paris, they have the audiovisual kit on site. They can very easily put on. One of the big problems they had when they done Electroland is Electroland effectively shut down the whole of Walt Disney Studios.
Yeah.
And it attracted an awful lot of complaints from parents who were like, you can't really avoid teenagers and drunks and
Yeah, yeah,
like.
yeah, yeah.
However, if you kind of put the rave, we'll call it the Mad Hatter's Tea Party, up into the back corner, you could certainly do weekend events in the arena. And if it's themed to Alice in Wonderland already, you've
That's a
kind of
very
got
good
that.
idea. Do you remember last summer during the summer season, Avengers Campus had a DJ from like 7 p.m. all the way to
Yeah,
the or 6 p.m. So in a way, they've already kind of tested like a DJ kind of setting around that area. So
yeah.
it's
I mean,
very interesting you mentioned that.
they do. I mean, Disneyland Paris, to their credit, I mean, Electroland was absolutely amazing. And then you used to get the Halloween party as well. You got the Disney DJ, but you also, I mean, one year I think the Star Wars DJ was it not like Steve Aoki or something? I think I was there.
Oh wow.
Um,
Yeah.
but I'm sure it was. I'm sure it was Steve Aoki. So it's like these are big DJs
Hmm.
that they've had playing at Disneyland Paris, and they've had lots of stuff like that. Yeah, they had Steve Aoki, Armin van Buuren. Like they've had the big DJs of Europe,
Well,
and they've played in the Walt Disney Studios. And I think that, you know, if you gave it a 5,000, I think it's 5,000 seats or something. It's maybe not as many as
well,
5,000
that's
seats.
four. I think it's 4K. It's a very
Yeah,
big arena.
yeah. So
I think it's like
you
4K. Not sure.
you take that, and you've got the amusing thing. Yeah, I mean, it says there. Hang on, I googled it. Walt Disney Studios Park.
Mm-hmm.
It does up to 5,000. So
Oh wow. Yeah, it's very big.
it's a huge ability. You could hold like a mini sort of Electroland every single weekend in Disneyland Paris throughout the summer, sitting in that stadium.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Instant.
and it's a very like it doesn't affect the rest of the park, so it's
So,
kind of its own thing. I mean, yeah. Well, Disney,
you know, like,
you don't need to credit us or anything, but just go ahead and do it.
yeah, I mean, this, I don't know. There's a bit, but it's like, I just think it seems they've pulled out an awful lot of the nighttime entertainment, and they couldn't really get the Hurricanes nightclub to ever work in Disneyland Paris.
Yeah.
They've kind of pulled out an awful lot of the Billy Bob's live
Mhm.
shows, and we've seen that they've dedicated more and more space from that to being a restaurant. So it makes me think that we might be seeing, you know,
Mhm.
an ability. I mean, people can't. If you're a teenager or you're, you know, a young adult, you don't really want to watch Dreams every night in life. So it
Yeah.
could be another piece of entertainment that Disneyland Paris could offer. Um, yeah.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
So it's a very good idea. Yeah. And then
Um,
LP Works has also posted some very amazing, updates regarding everything around the stunt arena with the lake and the promenade, and it's getting there, right?
yeah.
These last months, it's the changes have been huge. Like the
Well,
restaurant, the
there's
Taylor Swift restaurant, has completely gone up. It was nothing
yeah.
like a couple of months ago. I was there in December. The last video I made regarding Walt Disney Studios and the works was in December, so like the December 1st or something. I'm going back there this week. I'm very excited to shoot a brand new video, and I'm very excited to check all the progress. But it finally seems it's getting there, and I'm very excited to see where it goes next.
I'm kind of shocked that it's prefabricated. To be totally honest, I didn't know it was
Oh,
I didn't know it was prefab.
everything,
I actually.
everything everything over at Avengers Campus was prefabricated as well. Like Web Adventure was completely gone up like this, like a very big Lego set.
Mhm.
And Frozen is going like that as well. I
They
guess it's just
obviously.
quicker to build it. I don't know.
Well, it certainly seems it because it's gone from having nothing to suddenly being there.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. The one thing I did want to touch on, you can see in the photos,
Yep.
the Frozen Land
Mhm.
is definitely it's already getting themed, which is
Oh yeah.
very far along.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So a lot of the village facades have been completed. You've got the entrance to. So are you looking at the photos right now?
Yeah, yeah, I've got them up.
Yes. So the blue kind of facade closer to us will be the entrance to the meet and greet with
Hmm.
everyone, and then the other to the left. So they're currently building the big clock tower. Sorry, that's gonna be the entrance to Frozen Ever After, which is very
The,
exciting, and they're
the
they're
thing
currently
I don't
working on
get
that.
though, do you
Yeah.
not think it's almost like it's too early?
I don't know. I still haven't checked. I've been meaning to check the progress over at Hong Kong's, like see where we're at and where they were at.
The
But
only
I don't
reason I
think
ask is
so.
because I
I'm not
mean
sure.
Tiana's Bayou Adventure is opening the Magic Kingdom this summer,
Yeah.
and it's just got its facade unveiled.
Yeah.
And I mean
Hmm.
it's opening in months. It's opening in 3 months.
Yeah.
Which just I don't know. It just to me it seemed like, wow, if the facade's on, where like this is not a
Yeah,
joke. This is happening, and it's happening soon. And that's just
yeah.
me getting excited. I totally understand I'm getting excited. But it just seems very far up. Like we've gone from that grey exterior, which I guess I expected until late in the year, and then I didn't
Mhm.
expect it to take kind of shape until the tail end of the year. The second thing that we're seeing is the lake is already being filled, and just
Yes.
things
Yes,
like
yes.
that. Now, I understand. So I've done a little bit of digging on this because everybody was getting a bit, why is the lake filling and such? But it turns out that Disneyland Paris reclaim an awful lot of water.
Mhm.
They reclaim an awful lot of water. That they have water treatment plants and everything on site. And one of the things that they've been doing is they normally have to dispel an awful lot of water through the sewage network at this time of year. Once you get through winter, there's kind of the post-winter meltdown, and it's a lot wetter season. So
Yeah.
they have apparently taken advantage of the fact that they'd be doing an awful lot of runoff at this time of year, and have decided instead that it can be diverted to the lake.
Well, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And they've also said it's going to take, I believe, 6 months to get everything filled. So
Yeah,
they're
it
definitely
looks as
going
though
slow, and yeah.
if you look, if you look at the lake, it almost looks like it has two levels, and they haven't quite carved out or built the second level. Like there's the deep basin, and then it almost
Mm.
looks like there's a second basin they're going to try and go up to
Yeah.
where the
Yeah,
rocks
yeah,
are.
yeah, yeah. Uh-huh.
and and I think they've probably they don't seem to be. They've done the basic stuff, and I think they're going to have to. I mean, if they're going to put in a night show, we know they're going to have to start testing soon because it takes them,
Mhm.
from new technology to delivery. It's going to take them between 3 and 6 months. So
Yeah.
I would think that's probably a
Okay.
summer
Wow.
job as well.
Yeah.
It's quite
So,
impressive. I mean, I'm impressed. I mean, personally, I'm very excitable. So if they told me they were pulling it forward, I'd believe them.
yeah. Very
The other
exciting.
thing, what one other thing is Bob Iger. This is just me pontificating, so everybody will tell me I'm wrong, and you're more than welcome to tell me I'm wrong. But Bob Iger is busy promising big projects, and Bob Iger, as we know, was only on a 2-year sort of contract.
Hmm.
And I think I'm not saying the whole
That's been
project will get
extended.
unv.
That's been extended since then, I think.
Yeah, but it's still temporary, is it not? Like it's not.
Oh yeah, yeah, 100%. Yeah, 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 yeah.
So one of the things I think, and this is again just my speculation, but
Hmm.
him delivering new expansions and new areas, and I'm not saying the whole lake, but if you could get part of the lake open, and if he could do part of something, I think that it would be one of those things that he could be like, look, we said we're spending all this money, we have now spent and opened this. I think there's probably a rush on to very
Hmm.
quickly, expansions that are already in flight seem to all be speeding up.
Yeah. Yeah, look at Tiana's Bio Adventure, which was supposed to open, in the later part of the year and has been pushed, or not pushed, but
Build.
it's been built a lot quicker than I guess they were anticipating, and it's opening this summer.
Yeah.
So that's an example. And
No, I don't think we're going to get anything this summer, but I do think that if I was going to bet, I think we're going to see some of the lake stuff opening a lot sooner than we think.
yeah, it's possible. It's, it's possible. I mean, I'm not sure, of course, but one thing I am certain is that next year they don't have a lot of stuff going on around any of the parks. The whole focus will be on Walt Disney Studios, which is
Hmm.
something quite scary to say in a way. But I mean, it has to happen next year, and it has to be exciting, and it has to be fresh, and people need to it's gotta be big because there's nothing else going on. And I mean, I'm not sure if you want to leave this subject yet, but this kind of leads us to this D23 Expo,
Yeah.
which I think is going to be quite big as well because again, they don't have anything going on. So they
Well, they
need
need to
to.
knock it. They need to knock it out the park now, don't they?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And they need to commit and announce something. for somewhere because this is not sustainable. They've been saying they're going to invest $60 billion in their worldwide parks for the next 10 years. It's very amazing, it's spectacular, but there's nothing going on. They need to commit and they need to announce something. And I think that's going to happen this D23 Expo.
I think so too, and I think with Universal opening in Great Britain, which, obviously I'm still a somewhat skeptic of that project. I think that the pressure is now on for Disney to respond,
Hmm.
and they're being fought in all their key territories. So they're being fought in Orlando with Epic Universe and have nothing of great note to announce in response. They are being fought now across in Europe with potentially with a brand new theme park, and they're being fought on the idea of Universal Texas Kids or whatever it is. So they're being fought all
Yeah.
over the world, and I do, it's one thing for Bob to say, "Oh, we're spending some money, so we're totally going to, win this." But the truth is, they need to have, people need to be able to look at it. People book holidays and plan vacations and plan trips on the basis of things actually existing that you can go and
Hmm.
touch. They don't book
Yeah.
it on, oh, well, Bob says over the next 10 years, you're not going to believe how good Disney will be.
Hmm.
The
Yeah.
other thing is they've found that they're now pricing people out. That people are now there is a genuine concern they've gone too high on their price. Now they'll not drop their pricing, but we've seen them reintroduce some of their perks. We've seen them the amount things are going up by seems to have slowed somewhat, and I think
Hmm.
that Disney have taken for granted the sort of revenge travel from COVID and
Yeah.
misinterpreted that to believe that people will spend that year on year and year. And the greatest insight, I think, I was reading one of the travel agents that I follow on Twitter in the Disney bubble, and they were saying there's more and more people now looking at cruises as all inclusive sort of family vacations rather than looking at
Interesting.
Disney parks, which that is interesting. Disney
Yeah, that's very
themselves must have noticed this because they're building ships as fast. In fact, they're now building more ships than they had in the first 5 years of cruise line.
Yeah, they're
So,
currently building what is it, like three ships?
well, I think
I think they're
it's
building three right now.
yeah, and one of them's huge. One of
Crazy.
them's like mega ship.
Oh yeah, they bought it. They bought it from another company
Yeah,
that
the
went
Global
bankrupt.
Dream.
Yeah, that was one of the last things Chapek did to save his position, I guess.
One of the things you've got
Oh,
though, I mean, if you look at Royal Caribbean and you look at Costa Cruises or you look at MSC Cruises, they all now have their own private islands and things. Like
yeah,
the whole idea, like Castaway Cay and everything, has now been completely not stolen, but
yeah,
other
yeah.
cruise lines do exactly what Disney does now. And
It's not an
Disney,
exclusive thing. Yeah,
yeah, and a lot of the cruise lines have gone all inclusive and put gratuities and everything in as well. They've just followed the Disney model. Now, the problem for Disney is it's, everybody wants to travel. Everybody thinks Disney's a great brand, but is it worth double, triple what you were already paying? And I
yeah,
think
because
they're,
they're very expensive compared to others. Yeah.
yeah. So, some very interesting things happening on the cruise front. And some very interesting things happening in general with the parks. I think Disneyland Paris is probably the only park that's got anything huge going on just now. Everybody keeps teasing that the Magic Kingdom any moment now is going to have, really crazy works coming out. But again, I'd probably temper your expectation. The Magic Kingdom has an entrance and an exit problem. It has a capacity
Mhm.
problem all over, and I don't think Disney are not that well served continually loading more into the Magic Kingdom.
Yeah, it's becoming a bit of a problem. Well, a bit, not a bit, but a very big problem. And I think you were just mentioning the entrance and the exit. What if they pulled a similar thing that Tokyo Disneyland is getting with Fantasy Springs, which is kind of its separate thing? I mean, it has its own entrance, its own exit, and it's very separate from the rest of the park, from Tokyo Disney Sea. So, what if they kind of built like this very big area that is part of the Magic Kingdom, but not quite? You know what I mean?
A park within a park sort of thing.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
could maybe be an interesting idea with the old what's beyond Big Thunder. project.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just came up. So, well, you were talking, and I just thought, huh, that could be interesting.
The problem is the Magic Kingdom. For anybody who's been there, at the end of the night, knows absolutely getting out is hell. So you can only make that worse to a certain point, and then you've got to come up with another way to get out. And they might come up with a way. They may come up with some trick. You could probably go out the back way. There's a road that runs all the way around the Magic Kingdom. I'm sure they could come up with some magical bus or something that plays you a video. Like,
Didn't they have something that would get you from one part to the other, like a bus? You paid like extra. Don't you remember that? It was a very strange concept. Like
well,
you entered
the
through a
minivan thing.
backstage. Yeah, that was it. That was
Yeah.
such a strange concept. Well, I
It
mean,
was. I mean, given that Walt Disney. I mean, this is why it's quite sad. Walt Disney himself, and I hate to be this like tropey, but Walt Disney himself was a transport man. Like, there's a good argument that Walt Disney only built the parks so that he could come up with transportation for the parks. Because
yeah, he loved
Walt,
public transportation.
I mean, everybody goes on about how he built the rides at the back of Disneyland and things and facts like, but he actually didn't. He gave most of that away to the Imagineers. Walt Disney wanted to know all about the trains, he wanted to know all about the boats, he wanted to know all about the canoes, he wanted to know all about the monorails. That was what Walt Disney
Yeah,
spent most of his
people
time
mover.
doing was
Yeah, loved
Walt
public
Disney
transportation.
Walt Disney would go to the Magic Kingdom just now and be like, well, you've missed the whole point. There should be more transport around here. So he would have,
Yeah.
and he used to think that using buses was always like the worst way to do it. Like
Mhm.
he was very like, why are we using buses when we could, you know?
Yeah. Use a monorail, people mover. Just come up with something
Yeah,
else.
he
I mean,
was a
Epcot.
transport man.
The whole idea of Epcot was the the experimental prototype community of tomorrow. It was
Yeah,
all about transportation. So he really was a kind of transportation guy, I
he was
guess.
he was a transportation guy, and
Yeah.
I just think if he was at the Magic Kingdom as it closes now, he'd be like, "What is going on here? We're needing a train or a people mover or a slingshot or, we're needing something because this is just,
Just
why have we only got the same 3 boats that I designed? Why don't we have 20 boats? Why don't we, he would just, I can
yeah,
imagine
yeah,
him.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Um, so
100%.
they do have a problem in the sense that people love going to the Magic Kingdom, but the problem is the Magic Kingdom doesn't have it does have space, but it's almost like they created their own problem. Disneyland Resort's
Yeah.
much the same. However, did you watch that's all now been approved? Disneyland Resort Forward is going ahead.
Yeah, they've passed that stage. I think that there's one more stage that they need to get the signatures on. So the first stage was a complete success. They've got everyone's signature except one guy, I think. But yeah, it was a very fantastic development because it just proves how the city of Anaheim is on Disney's side, which wasn't the case when they, made all those restrictions, I think 20, 25 years ago, which is why they
Yeah,
can't build whatever they can or whatever they want. So very exciting,
it is
because
very
they do it.
exciting.
Yeah, they have a lot of space. People always assume that Anaheim's Disneyland is very. I mean, they have some space problems, but they have a huge parking lot, which is the size or even bigger than Disney's California Adventure. So they could literally build another Disney's California Adventure. It's a standard parking lot, just one level. I mean, come on.
Yeah,
There's a whole world of opportunities and ideas that they can explore and build a third gate. But yeah, of course, the Disneyland Forward program isn't about a third gate. It's about loosening restrictions and being able to develop other plots of land they have.
I think what you're
Yeah,
probably likely to see, I think what's probably likely to happen, not now, but 10 years from now, maybe 20. I would think that Disneyland Resort will cease to be gates and probably just become Disneyland Resort. And then
oh, interesting. So
I
it's
I
kind of
think
one merge everything together, like
Yeah,
just
there's
okay.
just significant cost saving you can get from taking out that central plaza and instead just having a gate, and you get a bit more space as well. And I mean, they basically they pack both the parks out all the time anyway, so it's a good way to, there's an awful lot of people. They struggle with DCA to get people out of Disneyland Park when it's open later. So people stay in the Disneyland Park usually when it's the park that's open later.
Hmm.
They struggle to get them across to DCA because, it's a psychological sort of barrier. I'll leave this park and then I've got to hassle myself all the way across there. But if you could jump on a people mover, a monorail, and get to the other side of DCA, it
Yeah.
wouldn't feel like you were leaving one park. It would feel like, oh, this is nice and balanced. Because they kind of say quite often they have enough capacity if people would split themselves better. And at some point, they would split themselves better if the two parks were one park.
Yeah, I guess that could be something to explore. It's interesting you mention it. Yeah.
I don't know. I think we're past the, like, does it matter there's one park or does it matter if there's two parks, or are we at the point where just having one mega park would be,
Yeah.
why does it matter to them? Like, I don't, this is the bit I always try to think, why does it matter to them there are two parks? Initially it mattered because you could sell park hoppers and you could sell add-ons and stuff.
Hmm.
But you eventually get to a part where Disneyland is too busy, DCA is not busy enough, you're tight-ish for space. You do have some car parks and you do have a big space you could do, but you could instantly relieve for almost no money, for almost free. You could
Yeah.
instantly improve the capacity problems in your park just by taking away that psychological sort of barrier to people
Yeah,
swapping
yeah, yeah, yeah.
parks.
I guess that could work.
I
It's
mean,
interesting. It's an
the odd
interesting
thing is
idea.
yeah, I don't know. It's a theory I've had for a long time that I've always thought, Universal kind of cracked it with the Harry Potter swapping parks thing, where you
Yeah,
could,
that was a very very it just makes sense,
and
having
I
this
think,
kind of
yeah,
transportation method that gets you from one part to the other. I mean, that could also work in DCA and Disneyland.
yeah, yeah. I just,
Um,
when I look at it, it just seems like such an obvious.
mm-hmm.
It's an obvious trick that I'm not convinced that Universal won't try it as well
Yeah.
across in, I think Islands Adventure and Universal Studios. Again, if there was capacity issues, I think they could very quickly, let's join the two parks together a bit more.
Yeah,
And it,
just like Walt Disney Studios and Disneyland Paris.
yeah,
It's the same situation, I guess.
it is. I mean, I'm not saying it is happening. I haven't heard anything to suggest it is, but it seems a no-brainer. Once you start to come up against capacity issues, you can instantly increase your capacity somewhat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The other thing that we should probably discuss, and I know we discuss this all the time, and there's absolutely very little concrete information on this, but it seems more and more that Disneyland Paris is going to introduce a Star Wars land
Yes.
at the back of Discoveryland, which, if you've not been in our Discord server, we call Discovery's Edge.
Mm-hmm.
Simply, it's Galaxy's Edge, and
Yeah.
it's Galaxy's Edge and Discoveryland put together. So Discovery's Edge. This seems to be gaining traction. The only thing that's been kind of thrown up is there's a refurb this week of the Discoveryland Theatre,
Mm-hmm.
which I don't know if it's a. I mean, we'll have to wait and see, because it either is a refurb and we're going to see things refurbished, or B, this is an intrusive survey to find out how quickly and how easily they can tear the damn thing down.
Yeah. So, I've heard personally that it's not a very exciting development. Mostly because what I was told is just that they're kind of redoing the entrance because it wasn't as accessible as it should be. So they kind of working out accessibility problems. But I mean, it's taking like a 3 weeks, I think, to for everything to work, and the whatever they are doing inside. So it's quite possible they're just planning things out and kind of looking at everything and just trying to see how they're gonna pull it off because according to
It's
the rumors,
suspicious.
it's very suspicious because according to the rumors, the theater is going. They're trying to connect the Star Wars land to Star Tours, which would make this a very, I mean, make Star Tours a very exciting and kind of even transport people from Discovery Land into the new Star Wars land, which would
Yeah.
be, a very fun transition.
It makes
And
some
yeah.
sense because if you look at it, Starters is in the wrong place for all this anyway. Starters is just in the road of everything. Um, because you've got a lovely space to the left of Starters and you've got a lovely space to the right of Starters. Huge expansion pads that are available. But you can't use them almost because everything's just in the road. So
Mhm.
I do think that Starters will have to play an important part because Starters may be the way that you bridge that you might have to go through that building to get left
Yeah.
and through that building to go right. And I think that's probably somewhat likely that they're going to have to build the Starters building into the new land in some sort of way
Hmm.
that's slightly more interesting than just a tunnel.
Yeah, and
Um,
I remember seeing someone planning things out with the layout of the Star Tours building, and it wouldn't be that hard to kind of connect it to a new land. You just kind of have to extend the exit area to the right. So when you leave the ships, you have
mhm.
that corridor that goes back to Discovery Land. If you continue to the front, so as you leave the ship, that will take you to the Planet Land. So that it's not a big construction thing that has to happen to kind of work everything out. It's quite straightforward, and I think it
Yeah,
would add a lot to the experience.
I
So
also
why not do
just,
it?
I mean, it seems like a worthy land of the obviously like Galaxy's Edge. Galaxy's Edge is doing phenomenal things for the stateside parks. Um, I think they want a bit of that in Europe. Europe loves Star Wars as much as America. It's a nice, easy, solid. It's one of the few IPs that when you build it, people don't complain about. They're not people like Star Wars and IP. They're quite happy to have additional IP in Star Wars. Like it still has shows on Disney Plus, so it makes all the right noises.
Yep.
I thought they'd keep the Discoveryland Theatre. Everybody else says they probably won't. I find it so suspicious. It's just that's the word I've got for it. Suspicious that
Yeah, it is.
we're in a situation where they've had the Discoveryland Theatre. It's been open since I don't know if it opened with the park, but opened not long after the
It is.
park.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
It opened with the
so it's
park.
an
It was called
original,
Cinema Chic, which is interesting.
and it's been acceptable from opening day then till now. And right as we're about to get rid of it, we've decided to improve the entrance to it. That does not make any sense to me. And certainly, Philharmagique is certainly it's a nice additional thing you could do to get out the cold or the rain, or maybe it's too hot. But it's not. Nobody's like, oh, we must get to Philharmagic. Like that's not part. That's not part of a Disneyland Paris plan. Nobody's like, oh, that's where I need to be right now.
Yeah, and
And
it
it doesn't
doesn't even
fit. It
fit.
doesn't even
Yeah, it
fit.
doesn't even fit there compared to the Magic Kingdom version. It's just sad. The
Yeah.
screen doesn't grow, and there's not a Donald Duck animatronic in the back. It's
I think it
completely
would.
sad
The odd thing
compared
is,
to Magic
it
Kingdom.
would work quite well as a Jedi training academy,
Yeah, it would.
but it would be a lovely little indoor, temperature controlled. You know, build it out a little bit, put some props in it. You could
Hmm.
also have a build a droid and build a lightsaber nonsense in it. Like it seems a shame that if the plan is to rip it down, because I almost think it probably does have a function, just not what's. I mean,
Yeah,
you
I
could do all
guess.
that now though. Like I don't understand why we don't do it now.
Yeah, I guess. Star Wars is, you know, very successful. They're currently meeting with Grogu and the Mandalorian, right to the side of it. Like the meet and
Yeah.
greet is right there. So yeah, wasn't there a Jedi training academy in Discovery Land? I think it was in the Hyperion Cafe.
Yeah, it was. It was. It
Yeah.
was downstairs in the gallery. But
Yeah,
it
exactly.
just seems like one of those really interesting ideas that of course they
Mhm.
probably won't pursue because why bother? Why why do the simple stuff?
Yeah.
I despair some days. So let's jump completely. Let's jump completely and let's talk about Epic Universe
Yeah.
because Epic Universe is looking, for lack of a better term, epic. Um, the hotels look stunning. The
Yeah.
concept looks stunning. The roller coasters now exist,
Hmm.
and I think the one thing I probably would say is the marketing has been so poor for telling you just how cool some of these roller coasters look.
Yeah.
So have you seen the big yellow roller coaster thing? The at
Starfall
the end.
Racers.
Oh, how good does that look?
That looks amazing. That looks truly spectacular.
Like as a roller coaster, that must be one of the largest in the sort of Orlando town area. Like it just looks so
Yeah, it's a
epic that
rolling coaster as well, so it's very cool.
Nintendo
Really
Land
excited.
looks dreadful. It looks very tight and very. I think the rides will be very good, and I'm very excited to go into it. But I think it's just it looks so tight. It looks like you're going to be
Yeah,
crushed
it
up against people.
does. Yeah, I agree.
And J.K. Rowling wanted that for the Harry Potter land, but I'm kind of like, oh, did you not learn from that? The Donkey Kong coaster, the werewolf coaster, like they just look so good.
They do. They definitely do. And so you were saying that the marketing has been poor. What would
Well,
you say?
in the sense that I think the marketing has focused on young kids and families, but actually this might be one of the SeaWorld is probably the coaster capital of the central Orlando just now. But this is likely to take. I mean, there's some really good roller coasters going to be there on opening day.
Yeah, is it like four coasters
Yeah,
and very
which
good coasters as well?
that's why I'm just kind of like, I think you're underselling this in some ways. Like this is gonna be fairly, for lack of a better word, epic.
Epic. Yeah.
Epic. The one thing I have wondered, so the UK pricing has come out for next year, and it only went up £25.
For the
So
summer already?
yeah,
Oh,
so
really?
2025's pricing is already out, and
Is
it's
that
only up.
including Epic Universe? Do they
Well,
talk about Epic Universe?
I presume it does. That's the other thing. It possibly doesn't. But I don't think they
Yeah.
would get away with selling like a combination ticket that doesn't include it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the ticket packages for the UK are very cheap compared to most other markets, I guess.
Yeah,
So, in a way, they maybe just kind of want to get people there, you know?
yeah. I mean, the
Uh,
UK ticket. So if I do a UK ticket for 2024 for 14 days,
yeah,
it's for Universal's three parks, um, and that's Volcano Bay and the two theme parks.
yeah.
It's £325, and then if
Okay.
I do 2025, it's 349. So £1 shy of 350. So
And does that
it's
work
only
for full year for the whole year, or
yeah, it's a
how does
full
it
year
work?
ticket. Well,
Oh
it's
wow!
14 days at any point in the year.
Oh wow!
So,
Wow!
I mean, it doesn't say anything about Epic Universe, but then Epic Universe has never been advertised, with an opening day. So
Yeah, I
I
mean,
don't, I can't, I definitely cannot see them saying, yeah, you're not going to be able to use your 2025 ticket. Like that seems
yeah, I
very
don't think that's
unlikely.
yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen.
And the other thing
So
is, so if I go on the official website, it's the same. The pricing's the same.
Mhm.
There's no way, and it's the odd thing is, Universal don't actually sell their own tickets. It forwards you to attraction tickets direct. So
Oh
there's no
well.
way. If you go on universalorlando.com and you click buy a ticket in the UK
Yeah.
just now, you can buy a 2025 ticket for £25 more than 2024, and you can buy it just now. There is no way they can have Epic Universe on the front page and then say, "Oh, but it'll be a different, like the ticket that you've bought will
That
work."
would be pretty bad.
It would be very silly. I don't. What do you think? Do you think Universal would charge more? They've never done it before.
I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, the whole concept of the Epic Universe tickets is still kind of unknown. Last time, I mean, it's pretty confusing.
Volcano Bay was the latest edition, and Volcano Bay was part of the standard ticket from the get go, and there was
Yeah.
no increase.
Okay. Yeah, I
But
don't
that's
know.
not the same, is it?
Yeah, it's not. So I don't know what's gonna happen. I truly don't know. I one thing I do know is that I I don't we don't have attraction tickets here in Portugal, so it just kind of sends me to the normal
I
Universal
shouldn't.
Orlando.
I probably shouldn't say this, but we have no sponsors to lose, so it doesn't really bother me. Um, you can buy a UK ticket and it's digital. So
Hmm.
if you use a VPN,
Yeah.
you you physically can buy Universal tickets, and they are digital. They come to you as an e-voucher. So,
Well, then I guess I know what I'm doing next time I'm going
and
to
I
Orlando.
just and I just add them straight to the Universal app. So,
Oh wow.
so
Yeah.
um, it's the same for Disney tickets as well. They're e-tickets that then you can add to the app. So, I mean, the app might be you might have to change your app region to the UK, but
Mhm.
currently, like the App Store for Apple, it's the same app between Europe and Britain.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
or you could just
I
keep the
guess I know
barcode
what
that you
I'm
can print
doing.
out.
I
Yeah.
guess I know what I'm doing next time. For those
Well,
prices, yeah.
I mean, I don't understand why it's not all of Europe, but certainly the UK attractiontickets.com. You'll see it. We don't get any sponsorship for them. They should maybe sponsor us because I plugged them away. But you can absolutely go on attractiontickets.com and you can get the sort of digital passes. And,
Yeah.
so there.
Attraction
Anyway,
tickets.
do you have anything else you think we should mention? Because I think that's about us
Um,
wrapped up.
yeah, I don't think so. I mean,
Well, there we.
we can always hop on a bit of Lion King, just to keep on the conversation going for that third
Sure.
land coming to Walt Disney Studios. I don't have a lot of new things to talk about over there. Ali shared that the ride is going to be around 15 minutes.
Oh
That was
wow,
something I had heard. Yeah, I had heard that it was between 10 and 20 minutes, and
that's a long
he came
ride.
out and said 15. So, I mean, how long is Parts of the Caribbean in Paris? Is it like 8 minutes or 9 minutes?
Yeah,
So
it is.
15 minutes. That's that's very big. That's
Yeah.
very big. Um, and someone also pointed out that if you kind of see all the major music from the movie, it comes out at 17 minutes. So
Yeah.
that's about including
Rise of Resistance
yeah,
is 18 minutes.
18. I mean, but
Yeah.
what does that count? Does that count?
Well, I'd imagine that's from when you get on the little chip.
Okay, yeah. Well, yeah, I guess. But still, 15 minutes for a water ride. That's very big. And I'm very excited to learn
It's
everything there is
incredible.
to know at this D23 Expo. That's the rumor that D23 Expo will be the place to be to learn everything there is to learn about the Lion King. So
Good.
yeah, I
That's a
guess
good place for us to wrap up then.
yeah.
Well, thank you everybody for joining us in the podcast, and Well, we'll see you on the next one, whenever that is.
Yeah, see ya. Bye bye.
Bye.